If you've been looking for the ultimate 4K display, look no further. This is the AOC AG326UD, a 4K 32-inch 165Hz QD-OLED, and it is just beautiful. Physically, it follows AOC's recent design language. That includes a fully controllable RGB ring on the back, an incredibly thin metal panel mounted to a plastic backer, and the honestly kind of annoying 2-screw mount that holds the panel to the stand. The stand itself is nice and stable with a massive base, and has all of the adjustments: tilt, height, swivel, and even rotation to portrait mode for the 2 people in the world who will use this as a secondary display. Although they'll still probably only use the included VESA adapter that comes in the box to mount it to an arm instead, but you've got the option if you want. The on-screen menu is controlled by a little joystick on the back and is AOC's most recent design. It's pretty small on this display, but has all of the options you could want, including the OLED care settings. Those include the pixel orbiting mode, where the whole frame is shifted a few pixels either side, making use of the extra pixels that these panels include, or the various dimming effects, including screensaver, which dims the whole display after no activity for a while, and a bunch of other more selective dimming features too, plus thermal protection, all to make sure that the panel stands the test of time. And actually, on that note, the biggest fear that most people have with OLEDs is burn-in. But I can reassure you that, at least with QD OLEDs, well, you're pretty safe. I've been using a pretty similar QD OLED panel for over a year now, and that still has not done a full refresh like the hard refreshes, nor does it show even the slightest hint of burn-in, despite all day, everyday use. These QD OLED panels feel truly next-gen compared to the WOLED counterparts, and burn-in genuinely feels like a bygone problem with these things. So, now let's talk about the panel itself. Like I said, this is a 32-inch 4K panel, runs at a maximum of 250 nits, which doesn't sound like much, but as I've said in my other QD OLED reviews, that doesn't matter much because the real-world experience of using this thing is a bright, vibrant, and rich display. I have to crank my camera's exposure down just to film this thing. This is where I would sort of normally expose it for a 250 nit display, and you can see just how blown out it looks. This doesn't feel like a 250 nit display. Colors wise, it's rich and vibrant to the eye. The colors pop and make for an excellent viewing experience regardless of what you're watching. To back that up, the Spider-X2 reported 98% coverage of the DCI-P3 spectrum and 81% of the Rec 2020 color space, which is great, as is the staggeringly accurate 0.66 average Delta E results, which makes for a vibrant and accurate display. The Spider-X2 did also confirm the 250 nit peak, although another advantage of QD OLEDs that have over their WOLED counterparts is a lack of an adaptive brightness limiter, or ABL. That's a feature that lets the display ramp up to a really high peak brightness level and then slowly bring it back down to a more stable, less harmful to the panel level. That's most obvious in full screen content and shows up as a difference in brightness between full screen and partial screen brightness tests. But here, both mostly full screen and 1/9 of the display screen tests report the same brightness figures. Again, that is a tick from me. Honestly, these QD panels just feel like regular LCDs, but way, way better. There's no real quirks or a need to baby it, it just works, and that's kind of high praise from an autist like me. For gaming though, oh, it's nice. OLEDs have functionally instant response times. Honestly, my open source response time tool, available at osrtu.com, linked in the description, just can't keep up. So while you do get sub 1 millisecond results here, the actual OLEDs or LEDs that make up this panel change functionally instantly, which means motion looks beautifully smooth. Well, there is the refresh rate, which at 165Hz isn't quite as fast as it could be, but honestly, for the vast majority of games and gamers, this is perfect. Whether it's fast-paced FPS games or smooth and fluid, racing games or just stunning visual storytelling games, anything looks amazing on this thing. It's fast, responsive, low latency, yes, I checked. And I mean, I'm not very good at explaining my feelings, but suffice to say that I am impressed. While I personally prefer the 1440p ultra-wide that I use as my main display, I can't argue that this 32-inch 4K panel isn't anything other than an amazing experience. It's immersive, and the sharpness here is really hard to ignore. It's crisp while still being smooth and responsive. I just really like this thing if you can't tell. Of course, the catch with these OLEDs, and QD-OLEDs in particular, is that any other QD-OLED you find with the same specs is almost certainly using the exact same panel from the exact same manufacturer, so there isn't normally much to differentiate the various options, especially now that things like overdrive tuning aren't involved. AOC have taken a pretty nice approach here though. First, this is a well-built, factory-calibrated monitor that usually comes with a factory color calibration certificate in the box. And second, well, they sell the thing, they price the thing like they're going out of business. Although clearly they're not with how many of these buggers they sell. This bad boy will set you back just £740. Which, yes, is a hell of a lot of money. In fact, it's more money than a lot of people spend on their entire, first PC full stop. But for a 4K high refresh rate QD OLED, it's a damn steal. And for our point of comparison here, MSI's AG326UD, which I'm fairly confident uses the same panel, because it's all the same specs, costs a staggering £950 for the same display. So yeah, if you have the cash, and I appreciate that it's a lot of it, get this one over, well, kind of anything else, because you get to save yourself 200 quid. It's solid and an excellent experience. If 4K 165Hz is for you, rather than 3440 by 1440 ultra-wides, I think this is the one to get. If ultra-wide is your preference though, check out the AG326UD that I reviewed recently in the cards above, or on the end cards in a second. Of course, those are my thoughts, but I'd love to hear yours in the comments down below. What do you think about the AG326UD and the general sort of spat of QD ultra-wides, especially AOC's ones that seem to be remarkably cheap for the same panel? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I will leave a link to this one in the description if you're interested, and there's also a link to my open source latency and response time testing tools in the description if you want to check those out. And yeah, otherwise hit the subscribe button to see more videos like this one. Check out plenty of other videos on the end cards, including my other QD OLED reviews like the AG326UD. Monitor names are still confusing even though I deal with these basically every day now. But anyway, there you go. Thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you all in the next video.